Preliminary notes on Ancient Ethiopian History. Hail you have to Department of History, the City College, City University of New York. C. Hail you have to 1987, BHHS. %TLPE 19932 9.5. Preliminary notes on Ancient Ethiopian History. Hail you have to Department of History, the City College, City University of New York. Hail you have to 1987 Table of Contents. Introduction. Chapter I. Chapter 2. Chapter IL. Chapter 4. Bibliography. Appendix 1. Appendix 2. Appendix 3. Appendix 4. Appendix 5. Appendix 6. Page 1. The Historiography of Ethiopia. The GES Script and the Book of Enoch. The GES Bible. GES Numerals. 2. 12. 20. 26. A table of hieroglyphics found at Axum. Hieroglyphic, Ethiopic cognate list. Pages from the Book of Enoch. Ethiopic vocabulary in the OU-RAN. Excerpt from C3 L AAP, tfi.me excessive. Matthew. Reflections on the Famine in Ethiopia I. Introduction. These notes were hurriedly gathered together to ensure their availability at the Second Annual Conference on the Horn of Africa, May 29–30, 1987, New York, NY. Hence their preliminary character. In a critical article I wrote on the presumed ancient triple heritage of Ethiopia, Issue, Volume 13, 1984, I suggested towards the end that the methodical doubt of Descartes may be a productive approach to the study of the African patrimony. In that spirit, Manv. Assumptions on the Ethiopian past are here subjected to skeptical scrutiny. At this juncture, little more can be achieved. Further investigation may produce more conclusive results. Nevertheless, this exercise would be worthwhile if it contributes towards a clearer view of the region's history. Present consciousness interprets the past and influences the future. Both the interpretation of the past and the vision of the future shape our daily lives. In Ethiopia and in the wider Horn of Africa, the present is a grim reality of war and want and of destruction and deprivation. Apart from forces outside the region, the chief architects of that reality are the inhabitants of the region, especially its elites. If the way these elites view their past now was less than satisfactory, might a more wholesome perspective remedy the excesses and tragic consequences of the myopic chauvinisms and nationalisms of the present. This preliminary study aspires to contribute towards the formulation of such an alternative perspective. The inspiration for much of my independent research in the last few years has come from the works of classical GES scholars, especially from Asrasian Sour's brief but pithy 9 NGL. CROI 4.5. LHJB 9 and 9 LFI /N, UJL, F Li RTTS, a monument to Ham, notice on the foundation of the Ethiopic alphabet, and his opus 5 ELFV sweating smiley TMY Axum asks, who are you? The latter is a refutation of Gasparin Wold. Mariam's JK TK happy smiley LFL : The History of Ethiopia, a Catholic father's version of Ethiopian history presented to Haile Selassie on the occasion of the Silver Jubilee of his coronation. Reading and rereading Asra's works, his unorthodox historiography compelled me to check and counter-check some of his views against those of foreign and highly esteemed scholars. The more I did so, the more persuasive many of his ideas appeared, and the less intimidating those intellectual giants became. These notes are thus submitted in the spirit of 1. An affirmation in the value of GES sources as well as the various oral traditions of the entire region, and 2. A skepticism in what has passed for authority on the region's history, politics, and culture. The chief limitation of this preliminary study is its heavy emphasis on the GES heritage. Studies like Asmarom Legiskada, 1973, furnish an in-depth picture of Oromo culture, and his postscript especially highlights the deficiencies of Eurocentric scholarship. Setsumatar's oral poetry and Somali Nationalism, 1980, is another excellent work on one of the Horn's most important regions and cultures. Similar studies for the other regions still await future scholars of the area. In the meantime, this preliminary study hopes to correct some commonly held and widely disseminated views and to urge a more rigorous scholarship in future writings on the area. 2. Chapter I. The Historiography of Ethiopia. In the context of a discussion of African historiography, two prominent African old historians, D/Ke and Ajayi, remark that the Ethiopian historical tradition is partly African and partly of Judeo-Christian inspiration. They write, the monasteries recorded the annals of each reign and preserved important texts and charters. Yet the primary interest of Ethiopian intellectual life was theological, not historical. There was little attempt until recent times to analyze and interpret the annals and the chronicles to produce history. International Infl. of the Social Sciences, Volume 6, p. 396. They also state that African historiography deals with traditions of origins as well as factual traditions of Ising lists, genealogies, laws, customs, etc. that are transmitted by priests, diviners, wise men, etc. In this regard, Ethiopian historiography has been formulated and fashioned not by priests, diviners, wise men, etc. but by foreign scholars and their indigenous associates. The foreign scholars are often handicapped by lack of familiarity with the ethos of the culture or with the nuances of the languages of the peoples they study. Consequently, there has yet to emerge a systematic, competent, and objective enterprise to analyze and interpret the annals and the chronicles as well as the manuscript sources and the oral traditions to produce history. The formulation of Ethiopian and other African historiography by European scholars at times suffers from Afrophobia and Eurocentrism. Such attitude rears its head even in unexpected quarters. One of the West's most versatile and prolific authors is Isaac Asimov. Although primarily a popularizer of science and a writer of science fiction, he has also written Asimov's Guide to the Bible. As the following shows, he appears to go through some agonizing doubts when he deals with terms like Ethiopia, or with what the two African historians cited above would consider that portion of Ethiopian history which was of Judeo-Christian inspiration. The Ethiopian women. the Israelites set out on their march toward Canaan. And along the way, Moses had to contend with various types of disaffection. Even within his own family there was dissension, for his sister, Miriam, and his brother, Aaron, entered into an intrigue against him. Numbers 12:1. And Miriam and Aaron spoke against Moses because of the Ethiopian women whom he had married. 3. From this verse one might picture, as many people do, a Negro woman as Moses' wife, since Ethiopian is used frequently nowadays as a euphemistic synonym for Negro. However, there is no reason to think that a Negro woman was involved, or even an Ethiopian woman in the modern sense. The Hebrew word here translated as Ethiopian is Cushi, and in the Revised Standard Version, Moses' wife is described as the Cushite woman. As I explained earlier, see page 19, a Cushite might indeed be an Ethiopian. According to legend, Moses served as an Egyptian general in his youth and led his troops in a victorious campaign in Ethiopia and might, conceivably, have picked up a wife or concubine there. However, there is no biblical evidence of this, and the legend of Moses' Ethiopian adventures is probably based on nothing stronger than this single verse. Against this view is the fact that the Cushites are also Arabian peoples, see page 20. Only one woman is specifically mentioned in the Bible as being married to Moses. Moses' marriage took place during his flight into Midian, in Arabia, and his stay at the home of a desert priest, see page 129. Exodus 2:21. And Moses was content to dwell with the man, and he gave Moses Zipporah his daughter. Zipporah may very well have been the Cushite woman referred to in Numbers 12:1. She could be resented by Miriam out of generalized intrafamilial jealousy, or, specifically, because she as a Cushite woman, that is, a Midianite and a foreigner, and not an Israelite. In any case, Moses faced down his brother and sister, and won out over dissent as he did on numerous other occasions in the course of the Exodus. P 167-68, 4. The long quotation above demonstrates difficulties foreign scholars may have in assessing even written records. Asimov's tortured equivocation regarding the meaning of Cush is rather amusing. More callous is his speculation, without any apparent justification, that what the Bible refers to as wife might really have been only a concubine with all the male chauvinism that implies. Thus the reader needs to be discerning when reading African history or related literature produced by European scholarship. Beginning with Job Ludolf in the mid-1600s, a number of European scholars have been engaged in the study of Ethiopian history and culture. The quality of their works varies. While Dillman's Lexicon Lingua Ethiopici, 1865, would rank among the more impressive lexicographical works ever, Conti Rossini's much-lauded Storia di Etiopia, 1928, may be deficient in fundamental respects. Overall, the contributions of linguists are perhaps more impressive than those of historians where Ethiopian studies is concerned. In any event, the recognition of foreign authority on Ethiopian studies was elevated to semi-official status in the 60s with an increasing number of Haile Selassie I Prize Awards going to foreign historians of Ethiopia. Ethiopian recipients figured mainly in literature. One of those foreign scholars honored as authority by such an award, Allendorf, lists masters of Ethiopian studies in the very first chapter of the Ethiopians, where he evaluates their contributions. The judgment is valid when limited to an European audience and if it referred only to a relative mastery. Modern Ethiopian scholars also appear to have accepted whole such evaluation, and, as a result, cease to search for masters of the subject closer to home. Thus the works of the classical GES scholar mentioned in the introduction above do not appear in the bibliographies of Ethiopian historians. One important aspect of Ethiopian history, the masters and their modern Ethiopian counterparts all seem to agree upon *, is the origin of Aksumite civilization. **O. Standard fare of the account is given in as late a work as a 1978 Cambridge History of Africa, Volume 2, p. 262. The origins of the Aksumite kingdom go back well into the first millennium BC, when settlers from South Arabia and the Yemen introduced Semitic languages, building in stone, and literacy. They may also have been the first to introduce agriculture into the area. Getachew Hale and Skag Abramidine are among the outstanding exceptions. A conference on Ethiopian origins was held at SOAS, London University on 28 to 29 June 1977. However, the proceedings were not published, and it is, therefore, difficult to evaluate the papers presented there. 5. To a large extent, the Semitic Sabian origin hypothesis has been internalized, officially as well as by many groups. Recently, an Ethiopian addressed his compatriots thus: "To my Semitic, Cushitic brethren." The key term in the whole address was presumably brethren. Still it repeats and implicitly sanctions the Semitic Sabian origin hypothesis. Yet there is no Semitic /Hamitic * dichotomy in Ethiopian tradition. The FIFLLI / the glory of the kings, classifies GES as a language of the House of Ham. So does TDFF /hapismiley /FJF /M.L/IH/F./OFC Book of the Mystery of Heaven and Earth. A relatively more recent 16th century work Mi Foot, %Q*F, The Gate of Faltli, repeats the same point. GES sources are clear on that score. If GES is not a Semitic language, then much less so would be the other Ethiopian Semitic languages like Tigray, Drinya, Amharic, Harari, Gurj, etc. The classification of GES as a Semitic language is a rather arbitrary and recent European one. Until Greenberg came up with a single Afroasiatic family of languages, Semitic and Hamitic languages plus 3 other major groups were all considered separate families. Younger European, American, and other linguists are questioning further other earlier assumptions. The title of Mertonen's work reveals the skepticism of a new generation of scholars studying the languages of the Horn, Early Semitic, a diachronical inquiry into the relationship of Ethiopic to the other so-called Southeast Semitic languages. As it is a bold new approach, it is worth the quoting at length. Add the result of our vocabulary survey, according to which ancient South Arabic is more closely related to Northern Arabic and Northwest Semitic rather than Ethiopic, and the fact that the syntax of sentences also is radically different in South Ethiopic from the state of things in the other languages studied, as well as from the rest of the Semitic family, although the present St. Etov research and material available to the present writer did not allow investigation proper into the syntax. However, even what has been said above may be sufficient to prove that South Arabic, Sokotal, and Ethiopic have been developing independently of each other since the Proto-Semitic period, and that the connection between North and South Ethiopic also has been rather minimal from those days until less than a millennium ago, and that at least some of the modern South Arabic languages do not derive from the epigraphically attested ancient South Arabic dialects. Moreover, the Hamitic and Cushitic are used interchangeably by linguists. According to the biblical account, Cush is only one of the 4 sons of Ham. Thus the interchangeability is, strictly speaking, not warranted. 6. Archaic features of Tigre and Gurj can hardly be accounted for otherwise than on the supposition that they have been living apart from the rest of Ethiopic for long periods, and since ancient times, which hardly could have been the case, had they come together with other ancestors of present-day Ethiopians from South Arabia. Cushitic and Egyptian affinities also point to a permanent stay of most Ethiopians on the African continent. We may therefore conclude our study establishing that the original home of the Semitic-speaking nations was probably the Horn of Africa, and that they never formed quite closed unity even in what is commonly called the Proto-Semitic period, but were partially isolated and also in contact with dialects from which some of the present-day Hamitic languages developed. We hope that these results also will serve as a basic working hypothesis for further investigations in our field. p. 73-74, emphasis added. In any event, what is clear is that the boundary between Semitic and Cushitic languages or the location of the origin of especially Semitic is no longer as certain as might have been presumed by earlier generations of linguists. Mertonen's conclusion quoted above seriously questions any significant linguistic connection between South Arabia and GES, i.e. Ethiopic. Yet one of the pillars of the theory of the Semitic/Sabian origin of Aksumite civilization is presumably the introduction of Semitic languages by South Arabian settlers in the first millennium BC, see Cambridge. Eli MQD Hapismiley LMDC, a quote above. Over a century earlier, Henry Salt also questioned the suggestion of Sabians immigrating into Ethiopia. He looked for a corroborative account in South Arabian law. His finding is worth quoting in full. I still retain the opinion I have given in my former observations on this subject, that the Abyssinians, or Axumites, as they were called by the Romans, are descended from a race of the aboriginal inhabitants of Africa, composed of native Ethiopians who became in the course of time mixed with settlers from Egypt, and that they do not exhibit any claims to an Arabian descent, as was supposed by the late Mr. Murray, though I confess that I feel considerable regret in entertaining a different opinion from that gentleman on a subject, upon which, from his extra 7. Ordinary acquirements in Oriental literature, he was in some respects, so eminently qualified to decide. The chief, and indeed sole argument on which Mr. Murray founded his opinion, was drawn from the similarity between the Ges and the Arabian languages, but surely this circumstance may be sufficiently accounted for, from the supposition that both might have been derived from the same common stock, namely the Hebrew, which Mr. Murray himself appears to have satisfactorily explained to be the most ancient language in existence, whereas, on the other side of the question, the general tenor of the history of the Abyssinians, their buildings, written character, dress, and the description of them given in the earliest Arabian and Byzantine writers, all tend to prove them a distinct race from the Arabs. As the last argument has not before, to my knowledge, been used, though it appears to bear very strongly on the question, the first of may be excused for entering into it a little more at large. In the history of Arabian Felix, collected from various Arabian authors, by Skultens we find several accounts of the conquest of this country by the Abyssinians, and the epithets continually applied to the Mublaks. I Hapismile, which Skultens translates Ethiopes, and people with crisped hair, crispa tortilic. Coma, to one of their princes also, suing to the Emperor of Persia, entreats him to drive out these crows who are hateful to his countrymen, carried the application of which terms, makes it apparent that there existed, at that time, no traces of their being descended from the same progenitors. The Axumites are likewise correctly distinguished from the Homtes, in Philostorgius, one of the earliest of the Byzantine writers, by the appellation of Ethiopes caret, and in like manner Procopius caret, Cedrinus caret Cosmas, and John Malala caret, though all apply to the word indeed to both people, confine the epithet Ethiopes to the Axumites. The term of Ethiopians too, or Ethiopian caret is, as one have before noticed, the favorite appellation by which the Abyssinians designate themselves. It is true, that in the intercourse carried on with the opposite coast, vast numbers of Arabians have in process of time become mingled with them, but still it appears to me, that both in feature, color, habit and manners, they form a perfectly distinct race. p. 458 to 459, 8. The effort to establish an external origin for the people of Ethiopia has led some scholars to an examination of the names of people and places, ethnonymy and toponymy. Where the name of a people or a place has been found to be the same on either side of the Red Sea coast, that has been usually interpreted as rather conclusive evidence of a South Araban origin. Kunti Rossini's work is especially liberal in its employment of this device. Thus the name of a Habashat tribe in South Arabia is supposed to have generated the name Abyssinia, a term applied to Ethiopia, and the tribe is supposed to be one which migrated to Ethiopia and became one of the dominant Semitic groups. An uncertain Arabic word flabash is also supposed to refer to a mixing of sorts, and ayah also often paraded as proof of the etymology of the name and also of the mixing of Semites and Elamites to become the ancient Ethiopians. In contrast to the above, Tekel Wolds of JTF caret CF, NMN Hapismile caret H caret New Amharic Dictionary, has under the entry XFTT, _N /I sad smiley abis, Enakp, tilde, /HDHHPT9Y_T. Abs, Abasa, Kalor, name of a person, Kushas. Seventh son, Namrud's younger brother, an ethnos. Name. Abyssinia, Abyssoi, the country of Abis. Of Amara, Habsha. This name existed before the time of the Septuagint writers. Abyssinia is a foreign term. The Amharic dictionary derives Abyssinia not from the name of a South Arabian tribe but from that of Cush's seventh son. It makes Abis the grandson of Ham. Ethnonymy, toponymy, and generally etymology are useful research devices, but their abuse or their facile interpretation is likely when not painstakingly counter-checked. Perhaps another way of looking into the whole issue of origins is by changing the ground rules set by modern Ethiopacists and by taking classical and Old Testament references to Ethiopia more seriously than they have been hitherto. Getachew Hale in a footnote to his paper some notes. Remarks. According to the Penetrati ing observations of A.K. Irvine on the identity of the Habashat in the South Arabian inscriptions, JSS, 10/2, 1965, pp 178-196, there was no nation or tribe called Habasha in South Arabia. 9. One such classical author, Diodorus of Sicily wrote, "The Ethiopians say that the Egyptians are one of their colonies which was brought into Egypt by Osiris. They even allege that this country was originally under water, but that the Nile, dragging much as it flowed from Ethiopia, had finally filled it in and made it a part of the continent. They add that from them, as from their authors and ancestors, the Egyptians get most of their laws. It is from them that the Egyptians have learned to honor kings as gods and bury them with such pomp. Sculpture and writing were invented by the Ethiopians. The Ethiopians cite evidence that they are more ancient than the Egyptians, but it is useless to report that here. Quoted in Diop, The African Origin of Civilization. p. 1-2. Relations between Aksum, Meroe, Egypt have not been the focus of much historical or other investigation. A move away from the South Arabian fixation would, of course, help to correct the imbalance. In the first volume of his travels to discover the source of the Nile, James Bruce reproduces a stone tablet from Aksum inscribed with hieroglyphics ***. See Appendix I. This is a clear instance of cultural affinity between Aksum, Meroe, Egypt. As early as Moses' time, c. 125. 0 BC. Ethiopia, Egypt relations existed, compare legend mentioned above in the quote from Asimov. Ethiopian tradition, Asras 1958, holds that Moses led an Egyptian delegation to Ethiopia to request the Ethiopian king who was threatening to dam the Nile to refrain from doing so. Earlier Egypt, Punt contacts, those of Queen Hatshepsut, c. 2500 BC, and of Pharaoh Pepi XI, also 3rd millennium BC, have been attested for, the former in the Punt reliefs in the De El Bahri temple at Thebes. Punt has, of course, been generally interpreted to mean the hinterland of the Ethiopian, Somali, and East African coasts. Where the Old Testament is concerned, references to Queen Sheba, I Kings X, 1-10, and 2 Chronicles 9, 1-9, and her visit to Jerusalem to prove him, Solomon, with hard Questions need not be dismissed lightly. If indeed she was the Queen of Ethiopia as Ethiopian tradition holds, the civilizing mission of the South Arabians would be a moot point. The earliest civilized kingdoms in South Arabia do not appear until a few centuries after Shba's time. A person I showed the picture to recognized the object and said it was housed in the Brooklyn Museum and on display on the 3rd floor. 10. To come back to the discussion of Ethiopia, Egypt affinities, the calendar they both used is a very important common feature. The year was divided into 12 equal months of 30 days each, with additional 5 and 6 days respectively for the ordinary and leap years. To Mansfield Parkines visiting Ethiopia in the last century, it appeared as though ancient Egypt was still alive and throbbing in some of its features. Among the tombs of Upper Egypt may be seen faithfully represented the costumes worn by many of the tribes of Ethiopia of the present day, even to the dressing of the hair, though the hand which drew them has been in the grave for upwards of 3,000 years. Life in Abyssinia, Volume I, p. 262. Yet more telling than such scenes is the survival in Ethiopia of the science of numification, at least until some 250 years ago. Cheeseman, Lake Tana, and the Blue Nile. 1968, p. 142-43, describes the mummy he saw in the island monastery of Diggelstafa. We had to wait in the gloom until the censer was taken round, our only light being a dim taper. We climbed up a well-polished tree branch that serves as a ladder and saw on one shelf a big wooden coffin, the lid of which opened on the mummified body of the Emperor Fasilides, 1632–1667. His head was covered by a cloth, which when removed disclosed the face of a fine-looking man with refined features, thin nose and lips. He must have been over 6 feet in height. The embalming process, which I have not seen or heard of elsewhere in Ethiopia, had been most successful, as his face went, which was not at all gruesome to look upon. Beside Fasilides in the same coffin lie the bones of his small son, Isu, whose short reign and tragic death do not seem to be mentioned in any of the chronicles, nor is his name in the king lists. However, he was not allowed to see Zara Jacob's remains, for so holy a man was he, and such is the reverence in which his name is held, that only the monks are allowed to look upon him. Ibid. 11. Given the fact that Fasilides restored the official status of the Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Church, after the attempts of Jesuit missionaries to bring it under the Roman Church had caused a century of bloodshed, it is quite understandable why the monks would take the trouble to mummify Fasilides' corpse. As for Zara Jacob, not only was he a great and pious king, but also the author of 2 religious works, DDFTRHL, YZCW Carat, the Book of Light, and Clitter il Happy Smiley FP, the Book of Nativity. In the tradition of the biblical Melchizedek, he was truly a priest, king. For the custodians of the faith, there could hardly have been a more deserving personage. What Cheeseman's testimony establishes is that there may be links between the sciences as practiced by the ancient Egyptian priests and the Ethiopian clergy. In any event, a relatively novel approach to study Ethiopia, Egypt contacts may produce interesting results. not just in history but other fields as well. As a preliminary exercise in such an orientation, I have added my own Ethiopic hieroglyphic cognate list to Budge's short list, Egyptian Dictionary. See Appendix 2. In an opinion that runs counter to the prevailing South Arabian origin of Aksumite architecture, Bent, the sacred city of the Ethiopians p. 182-84, writes, "The great point of interest about the obelisks of Aksum is that they form a consecutive series, from these very rude unhewn stones up to the highly finished and decorated obelisks, and it is highly probable that here we have the origin and development of the obelisk, side by side, high up in the valley. They are all rough and unhewn, like the monoliths at Ava, placed in the ground at all angles, and in no way to be distinguished from the many rude stone monoliths which we find scattered all over the world. Then we come to one 16 feet in height which has the corners squared and a series of 9 or 10 notches running up one side of it, and various other holes cut on its surface. This appears to be the earliest attempt at bringing these monoliths under the influence of decorative art. Next we have one about the same height, which is divided into stories by 4 bands, and the beam ends, supposed to support the stories, distinctly cut on the stone. Without the assistance of the more perfect monoliths, one would not have arrived at the meaning of this decoration, but by comparison I think it is quite obvious that the division into stories is here intended to be conveyed. The highly finished monoliths are nearly all of the same character, namely, representations of a many-storied castle. As the above quote from a 19th century work amply shows, as also do the earlier quotes from Henry Salt and Mertonen, all foreign writers on Ethiopian history do not necessarily seek an external origin for Aksumite civilization. It is for future Ethiopian as well as other scholars to approach Ethiopia's history afresh, free from preconceptions, and to consult indigenous as well as foreign sources with a discerning and open mind in order to construct a true Ethiopian historiography. 12. Chapter 2. THGEZ Script and the Book of Hinnock. A survey of the scholarly literature on the origins of the GES script is not any more helpful than that on the origins of Ethiopian civilization. Its main thrust is that, like all clear other important features of Aksumite civilization, it developed from Sabian and was rut over from the other side of the Red Sea. Dillman's account, Ethiopic grammar, 3p, is typical. Clean name, Ethiopic language. V/H/ch. The old national speech of Abyssinia commonly bears among us now, is derived from the classical denomination given to the inhabitants of these regions, and has been taken over from the Greek by the Abyssinians themselves. Accordingly they called their kingdom W9I Hapismili, and the national tongue MRK Hapismili I /. The original native appellation for the people, however, and further for their speech, is itoh, literally roaming, then as a national designation, in the sense of the roamers, the free, and thus comes Hapismili / Hapismili H. The tongue of the free. In origin and essence Ethiopic is a pure Semitic speech, transplanted by people who migrated from Yemen to Abyssinia. A less known and unorthodox hypothesis is that of James Bruce. Volume I, p. 420-421. It seems also probable that the first alphabet was Ethiopic, first founded on hieroglyphics, and afterwards modeled into more current, and less laborious figures, for the sake of applying them to the expedition of business. Mr. Formont is so much of this opinion, that the beta resembles the door of a house or temple. *J. Drew's Inscriptions. p. 92, doubts the validity of this proposition. 13. Others are for giving to letters a divine original. They say they were taught to Abraham by God himself, but this is nowhere vouched, though it cannot be denied that it appears from Scripture. There were two sorts of characters known to Moses, when God spoke to him on Mount Sinai. The first two tables, we are told, were wrote by the finger of God, in what character is not said, but Moses received them to read to the people, so he surely understood them. But, when he had broken these two tables, and had another meeting with God on the mount on the subject of the law, God directs him specially not to write in the Egyptian character or hieroglyphics, but in the current hand used by the Ethiopian merchants, like the letters upon a signet, that is, he should not write in hieroglyphics by a picture, representing the thing, for that the law forbids, and the bad consequences of this were evident, but he should write the law in the current hand, by characters representing sounds, though nothing else in heaven or on earth, or by the letters that the Ishmaelites, Cushites, and India trading nations had long used in business, for signing their invoices, engagements, SI and this was the meaning of being, like the letters of a signet. Traditional Ethiopian accounts, Ialiu Tamiru, p. 20-21, claim GES to have been the single language in currently throughout the world before the confusion of tongues and quote Genesic XHL to support their contention. Siv, degree ra, M. And the whole earth was of one language, and of one speech. Although advocated by some linguists, Swadesh the origin and diversification of language, a few decades back, the monogenetic thesis of language is out of fashion. By contrast, the monogenetic thesis of humanity is not as lightly dismissed. While the traditional Ethiopian claim of GES as the pre-Babel language in universal currency need not be accepted at face value, the hypothesis of its derivation from Sabian is one to be rejected for the following reason. The unique internal logic of the script is most satisfactorily explained by V. Asra's account of its being also an astrograph. The main concern of this chapter is an examination of this most fascinating but least known account. 14. Discussions of Clio development of the alphabet, in its most generic sense of a Willingi system, have assumed that it represents primarily sounds, ideas, or pictures of objects. In short, it is an honograph, an ideograph, or a dictograph. The use of the units of a writing system to represent number has long been recognized. Thus a writing dot system has also served as a numerograph. What is unique to GES and what has thus far passed rarely unremarked is that it is not only a phonograph and a numerograph, but also an astigraph. The GES alphabet asterisk signifies syllables and numbers, but at a most fundamental level, it also represents astronomical cycles. Thus when Asrasian.Saw declares repeatedly in his two works that the letters of the GES alphabet are engraved on the tablets of heaven, one ought to keep an open mind and investigate his proposition. Fititlia. Unlike Hebrew and Arabic, which have 22 and 28 letters respectively and are written from right to left, GES has 182 letters vocalized in 7 different ways, giving 26 root letters. The 26 root letters are called *GIH, IES, while the other vocalic variations are respectively called 660T, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh. Strictly speaking, a GES letter is really an open syllable of the form CV, consonant and vowel, asterisk asterisk. None of the Semitic or European languages follows this system, while Sanskrit does so in a somewhat similar fashion. The latter situation led a Weber in his article Über den Semitischen Ursprung des Indischen Alphabets DMGZ Volume X, 1856, to hypothesize an Ethiopian influence on the Levlepitiant of Sanskrit. The order of the letters in GES is 1/**, asterisk, N, T, Li caret, P. There is disagreement among Ethiopian scholars concerning the earlier order of the letters ***** along with Asras and many others. I think the above is the right order. In this regard, it is an interesting coincidence that the first, H, and the last, P, sounds in the GES order are represented in hieroglyphics by the head caret, H, and the tail, P, of a lion. H and P in GES are respectively the topmost and bottommost letters of the alphabet, metaphorically speaking, the head and tail of the alphabet. For all of the reasons stated above, the standard account of the Semitic Sabian Boyipin of GES is unsatisfactory. Its pervasive repetition has precluded the pursuit of possibly more fruitful and more interesting hypotheses like the one by the 19th century scholar Naldic that the primitive seat of the Semites is to be sought in Africa, cited in Wright, Lectures on the Comparative Grammar of the Semitic Languages, 1890, p. 9. Mertonen's work cited in the first chapter comes close to locating the origin of Semitic languages in Africa. More persuasive than such counter-hypotheses, however, is Asra's expli cation of the logic of the GES script. The distinction between an alphabet and a syllabary is worth noting. However, they are used interchangeably. Modern linguists distinguish between two forms of the sixth order, CV, the V being a schwa, 3, or just a 0 vowel. I. Aliou Tamru, whose work was cited above, and Destartekel World, a new Amharic dictionary, maintain that the alphabet order of letters, much like the Hebrews, is the earlier one. 15. The 26 GE letters represent the 26 weeks of the half year and the Sundays, i.e. the first days in each week. The second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh orders represent respectively Mondays through Saturdays. At the end of the 26 weeks comprising 182 days occurs the autumn equinox, 6, F1 K and IDW P 182. The letters in the GES alphabet thus represent sounds as well as the days of the half year. The second half year follows a similar course, at the end of which the spring equinox occurs. Here is Asra's summary of it. WSRFF FTTI VTRMTF IDC S happy smiley %S N happy smiley / a CP FU nil N happy smiley / L happy smiley R V M Y R RFSW Oi LCJ Njo A. It is in GES alphabet that they are written as signs around the tablet of heaven. This is known by weighing on the scale of Enoch. It is found in the revolution of the lights of heaven. Those who say that GES came afterwards are chiefly found wrong by this alphabet, which, on the table T of heaven, is written commensurate to the days of the year, the GES corresponding to Sundays, the second to Mondays, the third to Tuesdays, the fourth to Wednesdays, the fifth to Thursdays, the sixth to Fridays, and the seventh to Saturdays. It is in this manner that, starting with 1 Myasya up till the end of Mesacharum, there are 182 days. Of those months, Myasya and Jinbat are 30 days each, while Sane is 31. Haml and Nehas are 30 days each, while Maskaram is 31. It is those that are referred to as 182 days. The letters of the Ethiopic alphabet are 26. When they are multiplied by the number 7, which is the symbol of the 7 days, they become 182. It is via the letters in the east that, by looking at the numbers of the 6 gates in the west which are opposite the 6 gates in the east, that Enoch measures the rising of the sun and the moon through the 6 gates in the east and the 6 gates in the west. Those who have not understood the science of this matter in the Book of Enoch are seen attempting to portray GES as a bastard that was begotten later. It is a futile attempt. P.259, compare Appendix 3, 16, A lit A. I 174. O. UHV. IAA, O. AA. IHIFA, DI. Asterisk. A asterisk. FC. TV. Art TFJJ. SUF. RL4, L, C. 5 RT. THH. BNN, A. Hi. T plus. K. 7 TVJ. H. K in VI, VIVI. VIV. Your COAXS 9 asterisk. 0 OT9. HH. 9 9. Feet T /R. 1, Z1P. 7. T01M. OV. P feet. O. ITA. Dollar. KR. 0I. O. 4. TTTT7. 16. INI IT. L. OCLCNRV.2 tight.ro/alphab should not ho /d simplistically. AC. Dim n AJM Tigahis Ajid.liia.rj is at a profound level, and his 2 works have Hun, avoid HOI, Ian Sadord seriously in any attempt to formulate Ethiopian Old Historia Prageliv. It sp pi elimine iv liato cannot deal with the many interesting questions iis wax raise. However, his ima, re of the GES, alphabet to the Book of Enoch is worth pn, thrinning in nigher detail. Hi, complete tr.xt of die Hook of Enoch has been preserved only in GES, if it ever. Avisk die, I full in other Lorphiants. 1 Hexiarch is taken seriously enough by theologians. 3. In. Lee some to have assessed it as merely one of those apocalyptic works written around tie. Iirfia. Utigs or just his re-Christianity. An Ethiopian author Zaman Faz Q/D/S. Ili. Hs. Oni Oui with Pionly the severest, if also the flimsiest, appraisal. I true pi alf that the n, Iach of Enoch is false is. Lee, asterisk it is not at all found in the whole world, as, an. Imitxiarch in Hebrew or Greek, save in. Es language written by a mendacious Eric. As to that which is found in the world at iti, it is only the very one that has been. 2 are isolated from, Life Ethiopian's book from the AE language, p. 71. Abralia H.Id. A modernist orientation annal that might have clouded his judgment. Townitz Marty's hippie regarded lie an ancient church. 7 Iisi. Milarity of text between the Impu caret.y relief, phi, ed it Cleophbisilk of Ludo, 114-1. Caret and an early passage in the Lee winking sad smiley, 2, see Book of Huv is interesting. Nib. Vol. P.S. And Liod. He comes with 10,000 holy ones. Rvm al-Judder. Upon them, and to destroy. Impious, and to contend with all flesh. Knuft meing over Ilhuv, which the sinners and the ins have knut carried and wrought against him. Nib. Volume. Puo, 14. And R.nch also, the 7th from Adam. H of these, saying, Behold, the Lord. TTM thousands of his saints. 5. I.e. judge.ent upon all, and to all that are ungodly among them of oddly deeds which they have commuted, and of all their hard speeches which ungodly sinners have spoken against him. New Testament. Epistle of Jude. 14t5. Many biblical scholars comment on the age of Enoch given in Genesis 5:23, and all. The days of Enoch were 365 years. Asimov also has something to say about that. Guide to the Bible, 37p. Of the antediluvian patriarchs, one attains an age markedly different from the others. This is Enoch, the father of Methuselah. The fact that Enoch is described as living 365 years, whereas his father Jared lived 962 years and his son Methuselah lived 969 years, seems odd. Is it a coincidence that there are 365 days in a year? That is, in the complete circuit of the sun across the skies. Is it possible that the verses given over to Enoch are all that remains of some Babylonian sun myth? This rather standard interpretation is, of course, consistent with the astronomical section, chapter 72 ff, of the Book of Enoch, the very section on which the GES alphabet is based in Asra's explication. The only language in which the Book of Enoch has been preserved is in Ges, and when, on his return at the end of the 18th century, James Bruce declared he had a copy, Europe was at first incredulous. In Ethiopian church tradition it is considered both canonical and pre-Mosaic, i.e. pre-Torah. In this connection, Ialiu 22p writes, y/k./j happy smiley ad phi cv bnl hff co nbhifrk /f of .oil h f ptu asjt fnv happy smiley eo ifi .fnjp feet cy h0 /ra happy smiley dot at this nri j if rc I.s anvone asking, since you happy smiley ted rom Hebrew into geo ot he Hebrew the father if ge /ivi rose spoken in fhemv.i./ he Hora and the 18. A tradition concerning Hinolk as Taiwan who taught men the art of writing is shared, at least by Christianity and Islam. I have not had the opportunity to check whether it also exists in Judaism. In any case, the existence of such a tradition in Christianity and Islam only strengthens Asra's hypothesis concerning the origin of the Ges alphabet. There is no other alphabet which has claimed such an origin or can demonstrate such a close correspondence between its internal structure and the discussion in the Book of the Revolutions of the Lights of Heaven. Chapter 72 ff. In the Book of Enoch. As regards the tradition about the Book of Enoch in the West, here is what W.J. Dean, Pseudpigiapgia p84, says. In Islamic tradition, the role of Enoch in imparting the art of writing to man and in the study of oks is retained implicitly in the name given to him, Idris. The root of this is the trilateral verb jj which is a loan from the ges j happy smiley jj to write, see appendix 4. Here follows J. Arthur's discussion of the name. Jewish, Christian, and Islamic tradition all give eminence to Enoch. However, although its most complete version is found only in Ges, and other versions, see Nib's Introduction to the Ethiopic Book of Enoch, are only fragments. Donzel, EJV in his Ankasa Amjan, 32p, could still write as late as 1969. The attribution of the work to Enoch is doubtless owed to the fact that popular tradition assigned to him the reception of revelations concerning the secrets of nature and other mysteries, the discovery of the alphabet, and the writing of the earliest books that the world ever saw. Emphasis added. Idris. S/9. La place important question occupant dans I Ankasa. Arnin le livre de Enoch. Les canons apostoliques. Itla olmentos, confirme mon avis cusis. Texts 1 it traduces par en Bacam. Emphasis added. Titus is a non-soicher. To argue from the importance that the Book of Enoch, the Apostolic Canons, and Clementos occupy in Anoasa Amin. The book authored by Nkoni, a Yemeni Arab convert to the Ethiopian Knurk in the 16th century, to the translation, especially of the Book of Enoch, by him is indeed a quantum leap. Unless Donzel knows of a version or versions of Enoch in Arabic or in other languages which are as complete as those of the Ges text and were available in as late a period as the 16th century, it is untenable to suggest the translation of the Book of Enoch into Ges by N. Bakam. Donzel's speculation is thus one more strange entry into the catalogue of compulsive searches for external cultural determinatus in Ethiopian as generally in other African history. The link between Ges and the Book of Enoch is indeed a very hard one to break. 20. Chapter 3. The _Ges_Bchbl. There are numerous references to Ethiopia in the Bible. This has been a source of fascination to many, and a source of inspiration and pride for still others like the Rastafarians. Those about Moses' wife and Queen Sheba have already been mentioned. Some others are 2 Kings 19:9. And when he heard say of Taharka, king of Ethiopia, behold, he is come out to fight against thee, he sent messengers again to Hezekiah. Isaiah 45:14. Thus saith the Lord, the labor of Egypt, and merchandise of Ethiopia and of the Sabians, men of stature, shall come over unto thee, and they shall be thine, they shall come after thee. Amos 9:7. Are ye not as children of the Ethiopians? Unto me, O children of Israel, saith the Lord. Nahum 3:9. Ethiopia and Egypt were her strength, and it was infinite. Perhaps the favorite biblical verse among Ethiopians is Psalm 68:31. Ethiopia shall soon stretch out her hands unto God. That verse sealed the defiant circular Emperor Menelik II sent European powers in the 189 NS when Italy claimed a protectorateship over Ethiopia, and Britain and others forlornly rushed to recognize it. Ethiopia and the Bible, London, 1967, by Allendorf treats the theme at length. However, although it reviews in erudite fashion the literature on the subject, it does not provide a satisfactory answer to the question of when or how the scriptures were introduced or transmitted to Ethiopia. It is important to note that the canonical books of the GES Bible are 81. As against lesser figures for the Catholic, Protestant, and the other Christian churches. There is little difference where the New Testament is concerned, it being clear that all versions were translated from the Greek into various scriptural languages in the first few centuries of Christianity. The real problem arises with the Old Testament. For one, the Book of Enoch is not only preserved solely in GES, but it is also considered the father of all the scriptures as it were, by the Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Church. The Book of Jubilees, which divides historical time in 49-year periods, is similarly preserved intact in GES as TF0-50-V7, 4/H, the Book of Division. The situation with the Torah, the prophets, and the writings is very much like Jewish and other Christian traditions. 21. Commenting in general on the Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Church, Allendorf writes, the canon of the scriptures of the Abyssinian Church comprises a number of apocryphal or deuterocanonical books such as Enoch, Jubilees, the Shepherd of Hermas, Judith, Tobit, Ecclesiasticus, etc. Equal authority is attributed to the prescriptions of the Old Testament as to those of the New Testament. The Councils of Nicaea, 325, Constantinople, 381, and Ephesus, 431, are recognized, while that of Chalcedon is rejected. The Ethiopians, p. 98. with the exception of the Book of Enoch, which Ethiopian tradition dates to as far back as 4800 BC. The other books of the Old Testament begin with Moses and move forward up till a couple of centuries before Christ. However, even when the same books of the Old Testament in the GES and the other versions are compared, there are interesting differences here and there. The GES version is at times closer to the Greek Septuagint and at other times to the Hebrew Masoretic versions in an apparently Eurodidactable fashion. Might it have been independent from either and much closer than both to a now lost original version? Or is it possible that it has preserved the original version intact in the same intractable way that it has preserved the Book of Enoch and the Archaeology of Jubilees, and many other books besides? The exegetic tradition in GES is profound, and there may be some clues and answers in that rich corpus. It is certain, in any case, that Ethiopian biblical scholars distinguish between at least 4 versions of the Torah, Des Tartekel World, p. 140 Ijjujijigs. Masoretic Torah, _TLLMMI: Priestly Torah. Sad Smiley Septuagint Torah, and F.Y. Ra, _winking Sad Smiley Samaritan Torah. The status and date of the GES version of the Old Testament has not been satisfactorily determined by mainstream biblical scholarship, nor has the Ethiopian account been properly investigated or appraised. Yet, were the Ethiopian account found valid, it would have significant implications for the way ancient history is viewed, especially the Judeo-Christian heritage, and derivatively the Islamic heritage. The text of the GES Bible and some GES manuscript sources offer fascinating clues and leads that would help determine the status and date of the various early biblical versions. The following translation of a GES passage is one such important lead. It is taken from a manuscript account of the life and contendings of Austus. FYM 9//fiferne.cq/fiferne.t/r/n/u vn-h /n-r/c/t@aliv/r/c/l/y.fl/n.r7 Hayfio KC9YT/tin-ry-r. I7 /h/=/mhnvmn/j/r/n/7 il xrvn, dash n.m /f/g.phi ma.f equals 7i.f/f y dot /hy dash wk /i hrf /imn equals emitim /happy smiley ria /y.ty equals kn .c mar /amel wv t /m22 dot equals ivia hii /lllslim1 /v equals d jlhlwick nf y x /1 v /srll at f f /f jl .7 /7 equals o a L.C /caret, V /4J, asterisk /A, RE /7FN. Dash, R, Allah, I /L, V, L /5I dash, IWHV equals FV, caret, happy smiley, A. VLL7R, LL.0 caret hour E caret / hi, IRO, A. / equals WH weight LH. IK, dot, L dot O, / AFIV, I /YV, IJ dot A caret IJ caret dot A for caret / fluid CRN caret. Dot, caret /7. Happy smiley O, caret ra, HRT V air P dot fidge caret. Dot, RVLN equals ///7. Caret / I asterisk VJ, a JW7II dot M. 2 equals / I fluid dot 7R L, HFN I UVWIK, caret F dash, /N, MU. MIA, IM, 1, FL1.F, 2, / equals FC dot UA. HLVH9-LL / 1 dot, caret dot O, IE, die dot DIN IN / Y caret H /N dot I a caret dash, a caret M. R, II dot, RLI7, U, A, IF /OI, comma dash H /INJ dash NR. Dot F dot happy smiley tit. 9, F /YH N, caret 2 / F J7I79HS, /M, H caret V equals R caret AR. Dash INA, HIVVIY.RRO, RF /F WC caret H, WYW, M, caret O. VLWV-H / BA caret dash, XM /HR R.I dash /J /FYK. / a comma, H dot / N, omitv, L dot VA caret dot P, dash la /JZILFLA. Nerf R dot riv Y dot R / 7I dot O, 0, /L, IC dash, 2H, M, O, /7I caret /R caret WL, K /M, LV, MI, I /JHIA, dot FLA. If less. / caret dot 7 VA dot C, 2, comma, if dot HNJF, V / A ra dot IINY / dot, U dot VJ. 7 dot, phi H dot F, tin caret RH, / a / I caret dot JN equals phi, a caret R caret II kilometer. / af dash dot, 7 / R, il, dot / GVH / dot / XI YH, HM. NIC.UL caret JAY I HIAKV dash, F 9 caret 7 caret Y, comma / MFNHFLA. La / 7 caret / dot L all, 3V. Dash 71 /7. /77 M, N. / I im.f/winking sad smiley.ii, ia.m.p *a of avn r7 7 // vflt7 equals tar.pl.f/x fd97.q to h/j f/hs f/.9i/v/i dot 7y:/nih equals /*i/l, 7l/7r lw dot equals *1 / equals a dot / y equals fl all sad smiley n j l 7.7 *7 y dot mrt *emitv friday.p /l.afn /h.j-h ./7 ni.usinxv *I a new fvtyltnitv vy t7 y a y.u /n /ion :I happy smiley ia /im hs la we /ilfia equals n xity *ui.m m y.ha xr /i o dot /i.yi /jv happy smiley /g give jhdcv to /jc3 equals j v :7 7ij /j4 equals f7 equals rh yj /ihl 2 equals *kmiv tlcxhy af //davtl oi 7x9 uvv dot dash mxivi in /hs at \n /kk a /ff /v 2 ii m9 rc /n 7 lrii in ahy.i a dot 9 iav I 7 equals 11 tnci /7.t happy smiley jikl.o ian 7xfc ax ia7 dash / hyxh7 y /yv n 7 n dot equals 7 re /77 f7 h dot wl dot dash ia nil /7 a na 23 and for this our fathers lived according to the law of Moses, keeping the Sabbaths of the Lord as Moses' Torah commands. But the children of Israel who were in Jerusalem did not honor the day of the Sabbath, and so arose Isaiah and Jeremiah the children of the prophets, and rebuked them according to the commandment of the Torah of Moses, but they did not heed their admonition. On account of this, there came upon them a punishment from God, and the children of Israel were made captive, and fell into the hands of unbelievers who were not of our God in the practice of righteousness. And Jerusalem was sacked, and she became a den for beasts. In that era when Jerusalem was destroyed, our fathers sent a message to the children of Israel, even unto the land where they were taken captive, saying, How have you been, and how have fared the books of the prophets, of our fathers and of yours? Were they burnt at the time of captivity, or are they safe? And how have you been, you the children of Israel and the children of the prophets? Did you bow in worship to the idols of the heathen, and to alien gods? And how have you conducted yourselves? Did you violate the Sabbaths of the Lord? And after this, when they heard the message of our fathers, they marveled and said, As for us, we have fared well on account of the prayers of Daniel, Azariah, Ananiah, and Misael. Our God, the God of Abraham, is sick, and Jacob protecting us. As for you, go forth and search the books of the law of Moses and those of the prophets. We live in a country of captivity, and you in a land of peace and security. Only take this book from our father Daniel the prophet. Here is the meaning of this matter. To our fathers came from the book of prophecy of Daniel, in the hand of one non-believer who was sent by Isa, the king of Ethiopia, to Darius, the king of Persia and Medon, that which says, While I was praying and lightening the burden of my sins in the sight of the Lord, Gabriel came to me. This book they appended to the book of the Torah of Moses, which came from Jerusalem with our fathers of formerly, in the time of Solomon, which says, 6 days, do thy work, and on the 7th day, rest. After thus had coined to our fathers the word, text, of the prophet Daniel, Jerusalem was rebuilt. In the time of Zerubbabel, and the captive Israelites returned to their country. And in that time our fathers went to Jerusalem, for Zerubbabel had written to the Ethiopian king, saying, The peace of God be with you. Hear me, for the sake of God, that which one ask, and send it to me, by the holy name of the God of our fathers the Israelites, I beseech you, for the book of the Torah of Moses reached your country before the destruction of Jerusalem, in the hand of one of your kinsmen, the son of Solomon. As for me, I am sending you the books of the prophets which are from God, which the successors to the prophets of 24 earlier times wrote in the country of Babylon and Cyrus. And you send to me the books of the prophets which precede me and are from before the destruction of Jerusalem, and which have existed in the domiciles of your fathers, so they may be unto us hope in the Lord, the God of our fathers, of mine and of yours. On hearing this, the king of Ethiopia called our fathers and said to them, Take the book of the Torah of Moses, and of Joshua, and of Samuel and Judges, and the Psalms of David with the book of Kings and the book of Solomon, go to the city of Jerusalem to Zerubbabel. And you, having written them down, copied them, bring to me the books of the holy prophets that did not come to us formerly in the time of our fathers. Take 2,200 dinars of gold for your journey, and 200 dinars of gold, let it be for you as a present to Zerubbabel, that you may receive honor in his sight. The 2,200 for your journey. Having taken this, our fathers went to the city of Jerusalem and met King Zerubbabel, and they met in peace with the children of the prophets, and they displayed, in the presence of Zerubbabel, the books of the prophets which had come to our country earlier. In turn, they, i.e. the Israelites, showed them books of the minor prophets that had not come for us before this time. They, i.e. the Ethiopian our fathers, brought the prophecy of Ezekiel, and the book of Isaiah and of the prophet Jeremiah. These books carrying, our fathers returned from the city of Jerusalem during the reign of Zerubbabel. The above account of how the Hebrews had lost copies of the Torah and asked the Ethiopian king Isa to send them the earlier books of the Old Testament is plausible both on chronological and other grounds. The obscure circumstances surrounding the restoration of the text of the Pentateuch by Ezra, who comes to Jerusalem from Babylon after Zerubbabel, make such accounts as the above GES passage worthy candidates for very careful investigation. The Jewish Encyclopedia, Volume 5, assesses Ezra's role in the following terms. Ezra marks the springtime in the national history of Judaism. Ezra was worthy of being the vehicle of the law, had it not already been given through Moses. It was forgotten, but Ezra restored it. Ezra re-established the text of the Pentateuch, introducing therein the Assyrian or square characters, apparently as a polemical measure against the Samaritans. He showed his doubts concerning the correctness of some words of the text by placing points over them. 25. What text or texts and what version or versions was Ezra rising from? If he should place points over words whose correctness he doubted, he obviously did not full analyze the text he was working from, which he would have if it had been passed on to him as part of authoritative Hebrew tradition. The most likely candidates as base texts for Ezra would be the Sitnaritan and the Ethiopic versions. The tradition quoted above, however, indicates that Ezra took the great trouble of even introducing Assyrian or square characters to distance his text as much as possible from the Samaritan. Is it possible that Lai might have had an Ethiopic version at hand, passed down to him from the time of Zerubbabel? In this connection James Bruce's remark is interesting. 1/2 There is really little resemblance between the Ethiopic and the Hebrew letters, and not much more between that and the Samaritan, yet I have a very great suspicion the languages were once much nearer akin than this disagreement of their alphabet promises, and, for this reason, that a very great number of words are found throughout the Old Testament that have really no root, nor can be derived from any Hebrew origin, and that all have, in Ethiopic, a plain, clear, unequivocal origin, to and from which THEV can be traced without force or difficulty. Emphasis added, Volume I, p. 423-24. The GES Bible has not been thoroughly evaluated yet on its own merit. Much like other aspects of ancient Ethiopian history, too many assumptions and preconceptions may have stood in the way of an objective and critical appraisal of its similarity to, and independence from other biblical versions. It probably is much closer to the oldest possible biblical versions and to the Septuagint version than say the King James Version. Yet vernacular Ethiopian Bibles in Amharic, Oromo, Tigrinya and many others appear to 1.0 translated from the latter completely bypassing the GES text. In accepting this state of affairs, Ethiopians who read the scriptures disinherit themselves from a very rich literary and spiritual source. 26. Chapter 4. C. EZ numerals. This chapter re-examines the consensus reached by Ethiopacists that GES numerals are signs borrowed from the Greek letters. The 19th century German philologist and biblical scholar Dillmann wrote, Ethiopic Grammar, p. 33. The Abyssinians borrowed their numerical signs from the Greeks. Whether they ever possessed any of their own, in particular whether they used their own letters as numerical signs, we do not know. The Greek signs appear already in the inscriptions, but an attempt was made, wherever possible, so to fashion the foreign sign that it should come to resemble the character for some Ethiopic letter or syllable. Thus caret was formed so as to caret resemble the sign of *v, the sign of ha, the ancient sign of ru%tc, t. In this way the ciphers given in Table I were finally evolved in order that they might be more easily recognized as numerical signs, and might not be mistaken for letters of the alphabet. A small horizontal stroke was applied to them both above and below. The above paragraph and a table reproduced at the end of the book constitute the proposition, the arguments, and the proof. This is the whole discourse on the Greek origin of GES numerals. It is brief but categorical. However, closer scrutiny reveals its shaky basis. Is it the case, as Dillmann states in the above quote, that the Abyssinians borrowed their numerical signs from the Greeks? To answer the question, 1 must examine the relevant numerical signs, which are 19, i.e. 1 to 10, and 20, 30, to 100. The rest, those in the middle, i.e. 11 to 19, 21 to 29, etc., or those above 100, i.e. 200,000, 300, etc., are permutations of those basic 19 ciphers. The horizontal strokes applied both above and below GES numerals may be disregarded for the moment. Let us now list those GES numerals that resemble Greek letters. A. GES numeral 43 resembles the Greek letter R gamma. Z. 7, Z zeta. Y. 9, 0 theta. I, 10, I iota. O. 4, O omicron. N. 80, TT pi 27. It is clear from the above that 6 GES numerals closely resemble 6 GRCK letters. Whoever wishes to derive GES numerals from Greek letters may do so only for those 6 or for about a third of them. However, closer examination will show that this may be too liberal an inference when juxtaposed with a counter-hypothesis that if GES numerals are derived from any alphabet at all, it is from the GES alphabet itself. Let us first dispose of the two ciphers that resemble equally Greek and GES letters. GES numeral 47Z resembles the Greek letter zeta, Z, but also equally the GES letter Z, third order of 7. GES numeral 440 resembles the Greek letter omicron, O, but also equally the GES letter O, first order of O, and incidentally the first letter. Faulkner J. Caret, 4. If we choose to derive those two ciphers from the GES alphabet instead of from the Greek, the number of GES numerals resembling Greek letters drops from 6 to 4 out of 19, or to about 1/5. Let us list the rest of the GES numerals which resemble only GES letters. The GES 462 resembles the GES letter 47. Happy Smiley FTY /F. 2, 5th order offal. Ti, 4th order of UI. U, 4th order of V. And incidentally the first letter for HPI. 50. 70. 90F. 100 carat. Q, 7th order of L. Carat, 6th order of. First order 9. 8 GES numerals out of 19 resemble GES letters. However, on Dillman's own authority, the GES numeral 45I is an ancient form of the second order of L, nowadays written as V, bringing the score to 9 out of 19 or about 1/2. On the available evidence, the assertion that GES ciphers are derived from the letters of the Greek alphabet has a very weak basis. Only 4 out of 19 ciphers can be shown to have exclusive resemblance to the letters of the Greek alphabet. ****''''''''''''''''''''''''''''''''''''''''''''''''''''''''''''** the shapes of the ancient GES letters also shows RU having the same shape, carat, HHFLA carat, unpaginated leaf between p.260 and 261.28. The counter-hypothesis that, if GES numerals are derived from the letters of any alphabet at all, then the GES alphabet is the source for the GES ciphers. 9 out of the 19 is more sound. Having disposed of 13 ciphers at a ratio of 9:4 weighted in favor of GES as against Greek letters, let us consider the remaining 7. Proponents of the derivation of GES numerals from Greek letters consider GES for 1, a modification of X. This feat can be accomplished only by an imaginative rearrangement of O, Li. First turned 90 degrees anticlockwise to become carat, and then the top left stroke is clipped to yield S. However, the counter-suggestion that it is the GES letter S, also the GES cipher for 100, turned upside down to yield B is as, if not more plausible. The Dillman proposition that the GES numeral for 2, euro, resembles JS, beta, does appear correct, although one could argue even in this case that it is only CFO, GES letter M, turned 90 carat anticlockwise. Following a similar procedure, the GES numeral for CS, viewed by the Dillman as similar to the Greek letter H, zeta, turned 90 degrees anticlockwise. That inference would be no more justified than stating that it is the GES letter H, the first order of the consonant Z, manipulated similarly. The GES numeral 430, N, is a mirror image of the Greek letter N, nu, but then, GES 420, is as close to the GES letter A, 1, as it is to the Greek letter A. Lambda, and J, GES 460, can be related to GES letter, 6th order of T. C. Connected to a horizontal stroke at the bottom even more than it can be related to the capital letter Z, Greek 11. We have discussed all 19 ciphers and their respective resemblances to Greek and GES letters. The 13 ciphers could be comfortably situated in their appearance either to GES or Greek letters. 4 resemble Greek letters, 7 resemble GES letters, and 2 resemble both Greek and GES letters. The remaining 6 ciphers have been shown to be more problematic. One could twist, turn, and trim the shapes to suit one's position. That is a rather arbitrary operation and of dubious scholarly value. On the available evidence, therefore, the conclusion is inescapable that the derivation of GES numerals from Greek letters is far less justified than the derivation of those same numerals from the GES alphabet. if the ciphers are derived from any alphabet at all. GES as the source is the more weighty proposition with a probability of more than 2 to 1 for it as against for Greek. The discussion so far has centered around the shapes of the GES ciphers. It has avoided the question of which of the two alphabets is prior in time. If it could be shown that GES was, then the chances of borrowing the ciphers from the Greek alphabet would be much less. The double ratio of GES ciphers to Greek ciphers in GES numeration would indicate a system prior to the Greek alphabetical system. Let us now discuss some of Dillman N.'s other statements. The second statement of the above quote leaves open the questions of whether the Abyssinians used their own letters as numerical signs. The fact is that they did, and gematria is used for scriptural exegesis in GES. This note suffices for the present purpose as the subject is too involved to pursue further here. 2.9. The rest of Dillman's statements suffer from internal inconsistencies. Unwittingly, he even strengthens the counter-hypothesis of the derivation of GE numerals from GES letters. Consider the statement: an attempt was made, wherever possible, to fashion the foreign sign that it should come to resemble the character FOC. From Ethiopic letter carat or syllable, thus V was formed so as to resemble the sign of 5am carat V, the sign of carat, V, carat the ancient sign tilde of I carat, 2, carat. What Dillman has failed to do is to furnish us those foreign, v.g. Greek, signs from which T happy smiley 1 T were fashioned to resemble GES characters. To the above may be added, S, carat, carat. Search the Greek alphabet as we may, we cannot identify the signs from which those GES numerals evolved. The next sentence following the above quote gives away the weak and happy smiley S of Dillman's hypothesis, in order that they might be more easily recognized as numerical signs, and might not be mistaken for letters of the alphabet. A small horizontal stroke was applied to them both above and below. Dillman does not appear to have thought out the matter consistently. How could foreign Greek ciphers, only two of which Z and 0 resemble GEX characters, compel the use of the small horizontal strokes above and below, in order to void their confusion with letters of the GES alphabet? The fact that they were foreign signs would have precluded their being confused with GES letters. Further, why would the borrowers of the foreign ciphers first go through a tortuous feat and an intricate and elaborate process to have them resemble GES characters, and then provide against their possible confusion with GES letters by supplying the ruse of a small horizontal stroke above and below each cipher? For the purpose of these preliminary notes, the remarks above should suffice. Critical reactions to the suggestion here may help clarify the situation better. This chapter was an exercise in microhistoriography, a reformulation of Ethiopian historiography is certainly going to require analysis at various levels of depth and magnitudes of scope. Asterisk, i.e. rho, appears to have also been an earlier shape for P in Greek writing. Bibliography: Jeffrey, Arthur. Asras Yansor. Asimov, Isik. I Aliu Tamiru. Bent, Theodore. Bruce, James. Butch, Wallace. Cheeseman, R. Destartacle World. Dillman, A. Diop, C.A. Donzel, E.J.V. Drews, A.J. Getachew, Hala. Nib, Michael. Mertonen, A. Parkines, Mansfield. Sarjuhabal Selassie. Salt, Henry. Tadis Tam Rat. Allendorf, E. Zaman Faz Quidasa. Braha. The Foreign Vocabulary of the Ouran. Barada, 1938. Caret, IH caret H caret P dot /FDH caret H caret. Addis Ababa 1958. Asimov's Guide to the Bible. New York 1981. Percent caret F caret dot LFP, caret NF, I caret IC, P caret. Addis Ababa, 1960. The Sacred City of the Ethiopians. London, 1893. Travels to discover the source of the Nile. 5 vols. Edinburgh Happy Smiley L 790. A History of Ethiopia. 2 vols. London, 1928. Lake Tana and the Blue Nile. London, 1936. DF caret HS, caret Seamin caret, I caret Addis Ababa, 1970. Ethiopic Grammar, translated by J. A. Crichton, London. 1970. The African Origin of Civilization, edited and translated by Mercer Cook, Westport, 1974. N. Calms Ankasa Amin. Leiden, 1969. Inscriptions de l'Ethiopie antique. Leiden, 1962. Some Notes on the History of Ethiopia. Quo Vadis. Ethiopia. Washington, D.C., 1982. The Ethiopic Book of Enoch, Leiden. Early Semitic. Leiden, 1967. Life in Abyssinia, 2 vols, London, 1966, reprint of 1868. Ancient and Medieval Ethiopian History to 1270. Addis Ababa, 1972. A Voyage to Abyssinia. London, 18L4. Church and State in Ethiopia, 1270, 1529. Oxford. 1972. The Ethiopians. London, 1973, Isijade, 1960. FF caret TFDC 4 caret, Happy Smiley DLR, M caret IA 7 / caret, Asmara. 1961 ATV VHTJ, ORIFINODI.RIF / CS, Town Attacks 1771. L.IHLDPH. Dotten Amwake. Up caret, F21, T Happy Smiley RTI. 77B, 7 caret 9, I, S68A. H pound T, 903B. UJ Yuan, 647A. N plus Happy Smiley T, 276A. 867B. FLIT, O.E, 471B. C caret asterisk, 62B. 788B. V caret, 374B. 0 caret 6, 770A. AFLA, 725B. Photo X, S Amazed Smiley. 72. 9B. I caret U-FLFTVC, 522B. RT /T, 824B, 870B. KC caret dash dot caret 369B. H caret O, 898A, H caret O, 898A. FL caret J. 726A EFLA, 897B. JFLLU / T caret. CSM4J. Caret feet to, O. 25. T. /if /affe.vsrx3. I. At. 3. 52 asterisk S asterisk. Pounder asterisk IJS. K. IT. II, 6 TIIETHI or EC BU KOFE not H. Striholisks of all the stars and the lights, from where they come out before the holy ones. 71 and D the Spirit carried. ISHOTT, Junior, BIO, to the highest heaven, and I saw clear in clue middle of that light something built of crystal stones, and in clear middle of Cleo's stones tongues of living fire. 71-6. And my spirit saw a circle of fire of Hicks surrounded that house. B35, from its four sides, came, rivers full of living fire. RD they sew noun D that house, 71. 7 and D roundabout. Were, the Seraplium, and the Cherubim, and the Opanini. Kli.ser who do not sleep, but keep watch over the throne of Idesglan. 71-8 and D1 saw angels who could not be counted, 1,000 thousands and 10,000 times. Or, 10,000, surrounding that house, and Michael, and Raphael and Gabriel and Phanuel, and the holy angels, who are in here /ends above, went in and out of that house. Junior, C5, 71-9 and D Michael and Raphael and Gabriel and Annual, and many holy angels without number, came out. Roinib. At house, 71. 10 and wit H them the head Odge days, his head WB. Ill and pure like wool, and his garments indescribable. 71 I fell upon my face, and my whole body melted, and my spirit, or, winking smiley was transformed, and I cried out in a loud voice in the spirit of power, and I blessed and used and exalted. 71.12 And these blessings which came cut from my mouth were pleasing before that head of days. And D that have, I carried a /s came with H Michael and Gabriel, Raphael, CJR, Carrot, and Phanuel, and thousands and tens of thousands of angels without number. 71-14 And D that Ariel came to me, and greeted me with H his voice, and said to me, you are the son of Mar-En who was born to righteousness, and righteousness remains are you, and the righteousness of Click head of days, or, C20, will not leave you. 7. And D he said to me, he proclaims peace to you in the Caritoni of the work L which is to come, for from there 5 LL. Boy Carrot, it H2 MSS. KY, equals cur /ON 50. CH Carrot Tech Y71 72 167. Peace has come out from the creation of the world, and so you will have it forever and ever. 71-16. /ND all. Will L walk according to our /V / inasmuch righteousness will never leave, OUYR, C25, with you will be their dwelling. And with HU their lot, and the / will not be separated from you. Forever and E /A. 71-17 And D so tier will L be. Length of days with that Son of Man, and the righteous will have peace, and the righteous will have an if, Rudu, height way, GV. C30, in the name of the Lord D of spirits for E / and ever. 72-1 The Book of the Revolutions of the Lights of Heaven. Equally as it is, according to their classes, according to their period of rule and their times, according to their names and their places of origin, and according to their months, FCJR, C35. Which Uriel, the holy angel who was with me and he is their leader, showed to me, and he showed me all their regulations. Exactly as they are, for each year of the world and for e/a. Until the new creation shall be made which will last for e/a. 72:2 and d. This is the first law of the lights. The light the sun. 9v, re, its rising, is, in the gates of here/en which, are, towards the east, and its setting, is, in the western gates of heaven. 72:3 and d1 saw 6 scales from which the sun rises, and 6 gates in which the sun sets, and, 9v, 35, the moon, also, rises and sets in those gates, and the leaders of the stars. Together with those whom the /lead, there are 6 in the east and 6 in the west, all exactly in place, one next to the other, and there are many windows to the south and north of those gates. 72:4 and d, of, a 10, first there rises the greater light, named the sun, and its disk, is, like the disk of heaven. And the whole of it, is, full of a fire which gives light and warmth. 72:5 The wind blows the chariots on wh.ich it. 71:16 and d all will luic. ionu, nv.tlwyc ihi. 72 I regulations, literally I/v. Rian, I.I. 72:3 to t. He south and north, lt, hc rit height ii 68 the etim sedu. Ko. F Enoch h. Ascends, an. D disu. N goes down. N fro. M le cave. N. D returns. Thrug. H the naught. Hi. N order t. O reek. H the east, 9v, 315, and is low. ds. O that it comes t. O the appropriate gate, an. D shines. Again, I. N heaven. 72:6 I. N this wa. Why it rises I. N the first morn h. In the large gate, namal. Why it rises thrug. H the fourth o. F those. SL/S hwick. H, R, towards th. East. 72:7 n. D I. N that fourth. 9v, a 2o, gate, fro. mwh.ic. hth. Isu. N rises I. Nth. E first month. There are E12 window openings fro. M which, whenever they are opened, flames come out. 72:8 we. Nth. Isu. N rises in. Here/en, it goes out thrug. H that fought. H, 9v, a 2 carat, gate 4. Liirty days, an. D exacu. Yi. Nth. E fort. H gate I. Nth. E west of. Heave. N it goes down. 72:9 n. Di. N those days th. Either. Y grows. Dale. Y longer, an. Dth. E night grows nightel. Y shorter, until the 30th. H morning. 72:1. 0 n. Do. N that the. Yth. Either. Y becomes longer tha. Nth. E night b. Y a double, part, 9v, 330, an. Dth. E day. Amounts t. O exact. Y te. N parts, an. Dth. E night amounts t. O 8. Parts. 7211.n. Dth. E su. N rises fro. M that fought. H gate, an. D sets. In th. E 40 I gate, an. D returns t. O th. E fifth gate I. Nth. E east 4. Third. Y mornings, an. D it rises fro. M it, an. D sets, 9v, 335, I. N the. Fifth gate. 72 1. 2 an. D the. Nth. E the. Y becomes longer b. V2. Parts, an. Dth. E the. Y amounts t. O leave. N parts, an. Dth. E night. Becomes shorter an. D amounts t. O sev. N parts. 7213 an. D the. Sun returns t. O the east, an. D comes t. O the sixth. H gate, an. D rises. An. D sets I. N the sixth. H gale for 31 mornings because of its sign. 72 1. 4 an. D o. N that the. Y, 9v, by, the. Y becomes longer tha. N the niglit, an. D the. Y becomes double the night. And, liiea amounts twcke parts, an. D the nigger it becomes shorter an. D amounts t. O psi. Expands. 7215 an. D the su. N rises. U. P that the. Y ma. Y grow. W shorter, an. D the night longer, 9v. 115, an. D the su. N returns t. O the east, an. D comes t. O the sixth. Irate, an. D rises fro. Emiton. D sets I or 30 mornings. 7216. Tilde Z7 window opponent fus, little r, I1, Y open windows, i.e. window STHAT. CA \B or .LNLV, 2S the IU, L, I2G word caret make clear, compare 75 4, 7. 7. SI. Enkjivan, IJK.ILY, R, .IIK.AI. 0b. Adoutil E, Parry, i.e. by TV.O parts. CLLM te. H72I6Y. ANDW. N 30 mornings have B. N completed, the day. Becomes shorter B. Y exactly. Y one part, an. D the. Y amounts to. Leave. N parts, an. D the night t. O sev. N parts. 72 1. 7 an. D die sun. Goes out, 9v, bio, fro. M the west thrug. H that sixth. H gate, and. Goes t. O the east, an. D rises I. N the fifth gate for 30 mornings. An. D it sets I. N the west again, I. N the phi. FTH gate I. N the west. 7218 N that the. Y the. Y becomes shorter B. Y 2 parts, 9V. By 5, N. D the. Y amounts T. O te. N parts, N. D the night T. O 8. Parts. 7219 N. D the Su. N rises fro. M that fifth gate, N. D sets in. The fifth gate I. N the west, N. D rises I. N the fourth gate for 31 mornings because O. F its sign, N. D sets I. N the west. 9V. B2O, 72. 2. 0O. N that the. Y the. V becomes equal with the night. N. D is, of, equal, length, N. D the night amounts T. O 9 pans. N. D the. YT. O 9 parts. 7221 N. D the Su. N rises fro. M that. Gate, N. D sets I. N the west, N. D returns T. O the east, N. D rises. In the third gate, 9 B25, fourth in. Y mornings, N. D sets in. The west I. N the Tli D gate. 72 2. 2 N. D O. N that the. Y the night. Becomes longer Tha. N the day, and the ni caret height groix niglatly lunger. N. D the. Y grows dale. Y shorter until the 30th by autumnal. N. D the night amounts T. O exactly. Y te. N parts, N. D the. Y 2. 8 parts. 7223 N. D the Su. N rises, 9V, B30, fro. M that third. Gate, N. D sets I. N the third gate I. N the west, N. D returns T. O the. East, N. D the Su. N rises I. N the second. D gate I. N the east for 30. Mornings, N. D likewise it sets I. N the second. D gate I. N the west. Of heaven. 72 2. 4 N. D O. N that the. Y, 9V, B35, Tigit amounts. To relieve. N pans, N. D the. VT. O sev. N parts. 7225 N. D the sun. Rise. SO. N that the. Y fro. M that second. D gate, N. D sets I. N the west. In the second. D gate, N. D returns T. O the east, T. O the first gate, 4. The U1 mornings, N. D sets I. N the west I. N the first gale. 72 2. 6 N. D O. N that the. Y the night becomes longer, GV, psi, and. Becomes double the dav, N. D the night amounts T. O exactive. 12 pans, N. D the. YT. O psi. X parts. 72 2. 7 N. D, with this. The Su. N has complete. D the divisions O. F its journey, N. D. It turns. 7227 The divisions of its journey T /seams L, to here translation of a Greek AK pound 9D, Eof. DI /I. Dot Imani, I, 5. I-70th. Ethiopia Cebu. KOF Enoch H. Back. Kayagai. N. Allen. G. These divisions of its journey, and D. It comes. Thrug. H. GV, 05, that, first, gate 4/3. Y. Mornings, and D. Sets. In the west opposite it. 7228 and D.O. N. That the Y. The night becomes shorter I. N. Leng. HB. Y. 1 part and D. amounts to 11. N. parts, and D. The YT. O. Sev. N. parts. 7229 and D. The sun returns, and D. comes T. O. the second. D. gate I. N. the east, GV, CIO. And it returns Allen. G. those divisions of its journey. Y. 4:30. Mornings, Risen. Gian. D. setting. 7230 and D.O. N. that the Y. the night becomes shorter I. N. length, and D. the night amounts T. O. 10. parts, and D. the YT. O. 8 parts. 7231 and D.O. N. that the Y. the Su. N. rises fro. M. that second. D. gate, and D. sets, GV, C15, I. N. the west, and D. returns T. O. the east, and D. rises I. N. the D. gate 4. 31 mornings, and D. sets I. N. the west of heaven. 7232. And D.O. N. that the Y. the night becomes shorter, and D. amounts to 9 parts, and D. the Y. amounts T. O. 9 parts, and D. the night becomes equal wit H. the day. 9V, C20, and D. the year amounts to exactly YTH.E 100. D. and D. 64 days. 7233 and D. the leng. H. of the Y. and D. the night, and D. the shortness of the day and the night, the Y. are different because of the journey. Y. of that sun. 72.3. 4. Because of it, its journey. Y. becomes daily longer, and D. nightal. Y. shorter, GV, 025, 72. 35 and D. this is the 7228b. Y. 1 part. I have not translated HFLJM, TL caret, ains. It ia fairly clearly a glosswick. H is meant T. O exply. N that I. N this parage. Is the equivalent of M caret AI, compare Dillman, translation, 226. 7229 returns, and D come asterisk, literally returned, and came asterisk. There is no apparent reason N for the change of tense. And it reteams along those division asterisk of it asterisk journey, the reference to the divisions of the journey is unexpected. the only other place in this chapter where we have the same expression. N is V27, and Tiat Viri deals with H the special case of the winter solstice and D the start of the period. We N the days beguy. NT O get longer. Possibly along those divisions of its journey has be N copied here be Y mistake fro MV27 7233 are different, literally are separate. 7234 because of it, because of the difference in the length H of the Y and night, i.e. in order T O bring about the difference in the length H of day and night. Compare Dillman, translation, 226. Chapter S7a 73 171. La. W and D the journ. Y of the sun, and D its return, as oft. N as it returns, sixt. Y times it returns and D rises, that is the great eternal light wick. H forever and D ever is name. D the sun. 7236. AN. D this wick. H rises is the great light, wick. H is, so, named after its appearance, GV, C30, as the law. D commanded. 72.3. 7 and D thus it rises and D sets, it neither decreases, nor rests, but runs the Y and D night N, its chariot, and D its light is 7 times brighter tha N that of the moon, but N size the two are equal. 9v, 035, 73. Iron. D after this law. W ISAT. W another law, for the smaller light name. D the moon. 73 2 and D its disk, is, like the disk of the sun, and D the wind. D blows its chariot o. N wick. H it rides, and N fixed measure light is give. NT O it 73 3 and D every morn. H its rising and D its setting. G change, and D its days, are, as the days of, law, RE, the sun, and D we. N its light is uniformly. Phi it is a seventh. H part of the light of the sun. 73 4 and 73 4 to 8 clear is Aramaic evidence that is relevant T. O this somewhat Otmaquai passage. Ale the fragments of Aram and fragments 1 to 32 of Ara. M belong T. O a table yik. H deals with H the phases of the moon. C poundo. N this milik, HTR 6. 4, 1971, 338 F. I. N the Aramaic version. N it is. Diatlit the light of the moon. N increases or decreases B. Y a half of. Even D part eek. H day. What we have N the Ethiopic version. N of 73. 4 to 8. Appears T. O be a garbled summary of the table N asterisk asterisk and D caret the idea of seventh. H parts of light is retained N the Ethiopic version, but in a deflating WS. Y fet M that N the Aramaic I. N the Ethiopic Verso. N the Nu. N is conceived of as divided into TW. O halves, eq. H half being further divided into sev. N parts. Thus I. N the Ethiopic a seventh. H part. 7 parts, psi. X parts refer T. O divisions of half di moon, and 40. N parts. 2 divisions of the whole moon. T he phases of the mu. N are discussed not only I. N 73. 4 to 8, but also I. NCC. 74 SN. D 78, but it I a not entirely possible T. O make sense of the various effluent pieces of informatio. N give. Ni. Neti diary passages, or to. Isodd. K di. M wit. H1 snother. It appears from cc. 7. 4 and 78 that the inner year is held T. O consist of 300. D 54 days, i.e. AE months of 29 days each, and 6 months of 30-day asterisk each. Familiar that I. N the 29 dsy morn. H there are 40. N days TNM. W. W mu. NT. Ophiel moon, and I. N the 30-day morn. H 15. I. N 73. 4 to 8 it seems that W. 4F deal wit. H the case of the 29-day month, in this mondio. N the first the Y a 14th. H part of the total light of the moon appears, i.e. a 7th. H par caret T of half the light, compare V5, O. N the second day 1 Ralph D words C.I, Vn find datas uted whose dasification is the most co /n, I, C to /IIA's coiny IIO // divi, STH ni in the mitsyrakil into the, allowing ilasks. J tilde, I, 1 tinrowode from etitopa, 4 JL, JLJ . Li, words lyrawid from Persian, a jli. A p. 3, 1.ls borrowed from Greek /. 4, words I joytode fro, en Indian, jluiluijal. V, /s borrowed from Syriac. 6, words borrowed from Hebrew, j. 7, // single quote words borrowed fro. Nabat Caritian, jajjl. 8, words borrowed from Coptic, li l. Li jp. I. Words borrow / ed from Turkish li. X, wo d borrowed from ne to, tilde j a v. 11, /s borrowed from I to akaba, rej . D. It I tilde, ib /I, pi equals at click first tilane t dot, it me ud of tins is mere iuisv, trk ami inually olueus tlit t philologia f, whom it es suvatal tu oats. Hadfuk myantiv /tit d, I dot, hi pt ein of heni aim of the lin l, iisic. Itmstg views. H's, ikrei of /. To move forward / tire a tutal more caret. Closely into lit marvi, a / tie, mean, bvlis turni.s and what mar / HNVEBFC entlitius hiditis nf.ia oitel, a / in j drawn on r.y of tiefi. Al mains for il do to, I, and luiratira el vorabidav. Ilo, forward / dash, 2 high dot, I thruloio L2 dot of. Ethiopic. Tree, /n, NREN JMLIF. Inkod inscriptions, Benjifstan Petit Arcrether AS South Semitic are opposed to the North Semitic Cetotype. The modem Abyssinian H languages, and Partix Dali Amharic, have in some respects diverged very considerably. Phi M the ancient GES, but it was presumably this ancient language with which the Arabs were in contact in pre-Islamic days and during Muhammad's lifetime. These contacts, as a matter of fact, were fairly close. For some time previous to the birth of Muhammad, the southern portion of Arabia had been under Abyssinian rule, and tradition relates that Muhammad was born in the year of the elephant, when Mecca was saved from the Abyssinian army ch marched up to Abraha to destroy the city. It is practically certain that there were trade relations between Abyssinia and Arabia at a much earlier period, titan the Aksumite occupation of Yemen, and that friendly relations continued in spite of the year of the elephant, clear from the fact that Muhammad is said to have sent his persecuted followers to seek refuge in Abyssinia, and that the Meccan merchants employed a body of mercenary Abyssinian troops. That Muhammad himself had personal contact with Ethiopian. Spoke /s to indicate, LT from the fact that tradition tells us that his IIRST nurse was an Abyssinian woman. Armenian that the man he chose as first muezzin in Islam was Bilft al-Habashi. And the tradition already noted it the Prophet particularly skilled the Ethiopic language. C. TVV, Kosikoj. Abyssinian slaves appear to have been not uncommon in Mecca. Alter the route of the famous Unvavtli Italiant and it would know. T of T, Teii difficult form Yaumad in NLS Boyatuad to Nave El Anudi. N. Any words of Ali Lious Sinanoans Froni Siudi sources it mu, T. A. T. Thruthuri, Junior Inia. IJLTJK, I, NH L foot. M. Isfi. I. 1. R. V. L 7. And. Lerttu Trik Suldig. Sandi I T. L GTT. L. ILL, I. And. ILimnipni. /. If. JSLT. Thigh in a .t. Nil. In di KNFWR. CT high turved LI ru. RF. ib.r. 1. / J. Lizi. Il / or. Ik. Friday, IU2. -7T. .vr.ni.id teamvma *fmf high.iirsitnnty in.li.ir.lr .t.r thft.t/in i.tn rui2tt.tire ui this I, ld26. *element t*imub in ja 11 sc vr.v, tenet, pil, f. A uii, L /4 n //id 2.il /l tlt ii s key 3.ig li it n /inipur. rl .srnkl t 7 S neutral smiley K, dot dash dot yi. L dot im nir comma, L dot tu dot, vhjh. yr dot ijh. Sr comma dot colon, dash rir kiro. yu underscore j dot dash caret t2. I, the iirn, dot rt dot rcim. S, ri backslash v. Backslash u. Backslash backslash backslash. cn happy smiley yij dot nt dash nil dot backslash, dash dot backslash cine dot in. Caret. Caret caret r. ry3. vrn asterisk caret. 5. b. Caret caret. hni. ah. As caret 1 es caret rcc. Equals. 3 caret. f. tx. 530e. 95. Caret. 0 v. L caret 5. O. J. SS underscore I. S. 33 S 2 S. 28. Caret R 55 T. Y. E. 2. Re N caret 5 and asterisk R asterisk O. IGF caret H. Caret CH caret H forward slash caret NC9. OU caret M caret, XA caret VH caret HY caret CR, P caret TT ifern. Co T, C. N happy smiley VAAC, Hwati. Dash caret Phi caret AT. A caret M, happy smiley caret A caret. HH, OT caret V. V, a caret, IVPH forward slash, dot happy smiley caret dash. Caret PNIH, K happy smiley L caret F, happy smiley caret HA, I caret PF, excerpt from caret CJ caret dot few T caret, happy smiley, caret, happy smiley, EXE tilde IES backslash S of Matthew. As how exists God in his entirety in one place, while he is not known in any one of them. Behold, 1. Reveal to you as Jesus Christ my Creator graced me. On account of your prayer. Listen as I tell you an example small, about secrets hidden and power great, containing all, to the extent that it is. P.O.S. Sibyl for my weak mind, although it is not proper to speak of such matters. Comprehend, O my brother, and see with the eye of the mind as how full is the nature of this world of fire which is hidden in them. And without action, it appears, and in all places it exists, and in all things it is seen in all its entirety. And it is not measured while it is hidden inside a small grain of sand, and it is not seen while powers exist in it which are commingled in its nature. And when man chooses to extract from her, she appears in her minuteness, and she comes out and exists standing without defect. And when to her is given an avenue, she burns many rocks, mountains, and forests, and all that is fit for combustion. And she manifests all the power of her nature while she is hidden inside a minute particle with the flame and light of her heat, and she is not measured but exists there in her entirety with her power. As to her measure, you do not find a termination, and nothing whatever exists that is smaller than her size. Her entirety manifests the strength of her power when in action, but she hides in a minute particle, and from there she appears to us in her entirety inside all places, while her measure is not known in any one of them. By this, and such as this example, seek, O my brother, with The eye of your mind, which a high perception and reason, that which arises from all and enters into all, and which removes all from in front of high. That inside light he exists on account of his nature, and on account of his glory and perfection. She is the creator of everything, and them she exists while she is not measured. Existent she is in all, placed in her entirety, and all creatures lack her measure. Listen, O my brother. What are we saying and discussing? What am one saying now? Behold, my mind is closed from wonder and cannot go further. My right hand is tired from writing, and the feet of the pen have been prevented from walking, for one have sunk into a deep sea. Silence is better for me than this glory to you, for your entirety is in all places. You measure all, but there is none who can measure you. Emphasis added. Reflections on the famine in Ethiopia. Recently, households in the West have been treated nearly to an unsavory spectacle of famine and death in Ethiopia. Shocked by the sight, individuals, organizations, and Rove companies have exhibited admirably low mount effective relief. Those more for mile all over the world and not so immediately caught up in the existential agony. Oh, it all may pause low, reflect on some of the deeper issues and longer-term remedies. Drought is the actor that most readily springs low mind to explain the in Ethiopia and in other parts of Africa. However, even a school child knows that its effects can be significantly mitigated by an appropriate strategy to conserve water. Dig. We /ls, conduct afforestation. N programs, ELC. Luti sustained effort will the rest of the world make, mass media in particular, to call for such a strategy long after the appeal for famine relief ceases till the headlines. Low will the Chinese adage teach a hungry man how low use a fishing pole instead of giving him fish every day be implemented in reality in the coming CW years. Other than drought, war causes such a disruption in the agricultural cycle and in economic activity in general that decreased food intake, if not outright famine, often accompanies ill. Such was the situation in post-World War II Europe, which the U.S. Marshall Plan speedily and effectively corrected. War is infinitely more devastating in countries which have neither technological nor manpower of a pre-World War II Europe, or massive capital infusion low them afterwards. Such are Ethiopia, Somalia, and Chad, where the relatively insignificant internecine wars continue unabated with borrowed weapons. Yet the superpowers and medium powers, deeply engrossed in their global or regional strategic pursuits, ignore this crucial actor and conveniently gloss over exacerbating roles in human HTS violations in Ethiopia. Prompted the Carter administration to put a moratorium on arms exports to that country. Nevertheless, such concern, noble in itself, did not stop the same administration from condoning in the same breath a small invasion of Ethiopia. Despite official disclaimers low the contrary. Somalia's head of SLAL, General Shiad has repeatedly insisted, and who can claim no better, that he was shown the green light by Washington, abandoned by its erstwhile arms supplier, the U.S. Ethiopia approached the Soviet Union, which has readily discarded Lee's hitherto ally, and prized a Trican model of scientific socialism, Somalia. It is worth noting that, up to that point, the Soviet Union had massively armed Somalia beyond its defensive requirements and thus implicitly fueled the latter's irredentist ambitions. In 1977, however, allured by a bigger prize and an even newer and more persuasive African model of scientific socialism, the USSR blitz rifled over $1 billion worth of arms to Ethiopia. On the other side, petrodollar-rich Saudi Arabia happily welcomed errant Somalia's return lo the Islamic fold, NND concurrently finreckoned its NRMS purchases. Anadikli US, and Olika v Voston countries. Quit approved NS willing, to see NME to Ethiopia's rescue NND, Okoinanilit.S troops in the Fanuline I whose IC, Li, 0, IIA's new profession of socialist ideology, Somalia's reconfirmation into the Islamic faith, and the Subka, Zywaris. Cavalier CXCHUH.C of partners provided the by /ik, if in Katire, Lead.granuted for UIE. Tragic drama of RCR Sean NND counter Ariata.Isian, mutual Karnat Karati and, lest Nertinii. Li.il was Kmi Karit Min Makely P. Lay, I out in the now multiply militarized Horn of Africa. Intly circumstances, FA, IIO, IA successfully R2, LS2 the Somali invasion. From Hoydend Lai Tile Victoti NND the Kanriran El Hakinf of the Soviet Union, the Provisioner El Milita Y Cloven Machitov. Ethiopia Adopledixen Lyali Military. Zdetilins to its Ulslaniting Problem /S. It uninloopled the Psi/E, Efil's army to over 3 Ike, H0, Akilkf, roof D a third of its annual but FTCL to defense, and conduit L Psi.K successive military campaign carried NS in Efrilka and Tidtre I in the north. Nonetheless, Click Lil, Iratian Irons there continued to challenge and frustrate the government's bid for left Karitichawai and consolidation. UN daunted, it proclaimed universal military. C. Thrizerip, Ion in May T. El Roof, H. It all, the civil war raged on and the countryside resounded willy the noise of bullets, mortars, and bombs. Caught in the crossfire, Tlu, Lesenals and Lycaonia desfled. Not know what lo make of it except to note. V. LH exine carititis I, diaphtia bratas weri. Legion indeed while their feeders were far too few. Abused NND trampled on, the earth turned Barrett. Peasants, nomad, and their families, all now reduced to just sinews and bones, started slow, Sadnai arches to relief camps. Death stalked them on the road outside. And in the camps. One fine autumn evening, the world woke up, O scenes of live, Ratha. Dead, horror on UIE screen. Elhin, IA, Samal. IA, and Chad are among the world's 25 ex-Carib-oist countries. A LUW term has been coined to describe this sorry and motley group, T Fourth World, if I Universal human compassion rig gi'd by. The tragic sp. Of famine in Ethiopia is not to be a lasting mockery of, then ill is dine, earpal all over the world signed. Seislantiv pelilins and m.aid peace I feel. Almotistrations to I end that ly meaning of detent is expanded and given wider. Seo, e to iu ludoa, ton honoroy.s.snick, tl, lie. /oi, /einrid. The call for such a ban need not unduly. Alla armaments manufacturer s in the fast or west. They will still have feet the 3 other worlds for markets. In any ease. Whatever stilled loib he armaments. Manufacture isc ald, nit u, r.arutist sik leo. Ban, it is high lime for the resi of the world. Lo enter the issue as a exerenial item in, he. Agenda of the UN Citra LSME until the day that it is passed under monitoring. Org, for its implementation is set up. Macali, if not half as justifiably, IHOC is an international precedent for in WIG. The MJ.IP of Nyans in, Yumva Pastor. Hollow and hypocritical hand on arms sales. Applicable C to tiny the weapons manufacturing aggressor, Italy, and the non-manufacturing victim, Ethiopia, still ill. Did not stop Ethiopia's patriots from maintaining effective guerrilla resistance row. For all 5 years survive fascist occupat. Ion. And, Legidia Willy Eluilish and Commonwealth troops, from finally pushing out the unwelcome intruder. Precedent and history aside, here is a compelling development L&D. Humanitarian case now for a don-on-ance. Salve to the Foioi world. Will he in Lira to a Fiil community have the requisite moral fiber to prove equal lo the challenge? Trull why non-aligned nations like Sweden, ill. No record of arm exhiverts in the allowal world and with clean hands mim.3 could spearhead this concern only Itiken. May the universal goodwill, so our hunt.nike. Manifest recently, make fam /nefnal /o. Rely C of the past. Funnel U for blue, SA native NF et bio /IUINNDO. VL tilin /Icutica in L hack /s, in ill. A /ridden arcage digfies. RCPRIXTF roa the diufsius.